Will Bitcoin rise or fall in the coming weeks? And what is the effect now that we've passed the halving? That's what we're going to take a look at today on Crypto Intel. My name is Max, and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is let's just really take a look at where we're at in the cycle. Okay, so you can see here, and I'm looking at the Bitcoin daily chart. You can see here that we have a very clear range that we're in for the, really since the end of February. And, the low of this range is around 60,000. The high of this range is a little above 70,000. And so, this is actually very typical in and around halving events for Bitcoin. If we go back in the cycle and look at the last halving, we can get it right here. My screen will cooperate. You can see here that, again, from the middle of April all the way to July, really April, May, June, July, about 3 or 4 months, there was a big range in and around the halving event in the last cycle. And if we keep on going back to the previous cycle before that, again, you can see the same thing. You see here, there's a range right here, starting, about a month or two before the halving, and lasts about a month or two after the halving. So it's typical for Bitcoin to range in and around the halving event. And what usually happens is that the altcoins, if there was a good run-up, which we've had a nice run-up really from the break here around the end of last year, if there was a nice run-up, usually when you have a ranging Bitcoin, the altcoins can start to move. Now, so far in this range here, the altcoins have not moved actually. And again, what we usually see is that there is it's not really until Bitcoin has a nice move and starts to move after the halving event that the altcoins can start to move. So you can see that we are actually really still in a parabola here with Bitcoin. We haven't broken the parabola, even though ranging. We would have to really get below around 60,000 to break this parabola, which happens with an upswing in Bitcoin's price. Okay, so we are being consistent with, and the question is, what's going to happen in the next few weeks? Now, I believe that there's possibilities. We can either break through or we can break above, and really that's it. Now, normally what happens in all the past cycles is that when we have a range around and after the halving event, Bitcoin break above. And it's really just a matter of time. So I do think we're in a kind of a holding pattern. But if we take a look at a couple things here, let's take a look from TVL weekly chart here. You can see that it breaks down all the halving events. And what's noticeable here, again, have right around the halving time, we do have an accumulation or a ranging of the price, and then it breaks up. A ranging in the halving here, a range in the halving here, ranging of the price, it breaks up. And the same thing that we're doing now. Usually, when it starts to break up like this is when the altcoins really start to ramp up. So, we are in the beginning coin season. We do have a lot of opportunity in altcoins and in Bitcoin as well, because we're right at the beginning of the parabolic run for Bitcoin. You can see here, you can see here, and here. Now, the other thing to look at is to just get a comparison of what is happening in the various cycles in the past. Let's look at this post from Neste. And you can see here, this will come up on my screen. Let's get this going here. There we go. Okay, these are the cycles. And looking at this as a fractal, this is the cycle that we're in now. If we follow the same trajectory that these followed, we have a period of accumulation or of ranging, a period right here, a period right here, and then if we look at the past cycles, when we had the big parabolic move up, you can see that this actually happened only really 1, 2, 3 or 4 months from when we had this trending. And so if this is the case in this cycle, then we could be having our parabolic run sooner than later. In fact, it could happen even before the summer. So there is a possibility, that the cycle is being moved to the left a little bit, that the cycle is happening faster. Now, it really is going to depend on how long we have this trend here, this sideways trend. For more than 2 or 3 weeks, then we probably will have a shortening cycle, and the cycle will go up dramatically. If, however, the trending going sideways lasts for more than a few weeks, then we're probably going to see longer than it did, or not longer, but about the same amount of time as it did in the previous cycles, which would mean that the Bitcoin would top out sometime in 2025, either the first quarter or a little bit later. So that's what we're seeing in terms of where we're at with this trending. I believe that we're probably going to trend for a few more weeks and then we're up. Now, there are some charts that we can take a look at to help us understand top is going to come in. And I like to look at a couple of these. Move myself over a little bit. The first is the MRVZ score, and what that basically shows is that this is the MVRV Z score is in green here, and you can see that when it peaks out, that is usually when Bitcoin has its peak. You can see it peaked here, you can see it peaked here, Bitcoin has its peak, and you can see that where we're at now is we're still very low. Say we're more like around here in this area if we look at the past cycle, and you can see that what we have is a big run coming forward. One final chart that I like to take a look at is the Pi cycle top indicator. And basically, if you take a look at you see there's 2 lines on this chart, and these are both moving day averages. And the basic thing to look at here is that when we have a cross of the red average crossing over the green, that's usually when you see a peak in the price action. If we just look a little bit closer here. Let's see if you can see here that here's where it crossed, right here, the red crossed the green, here's the peak, okay? If we go back to the last cycle, here's where it crossed, and here's the peak. And if we now look at our cycle, we see where we're at now, you can see that we're not even near, the red is not even near the green cycle. So we have a long way to go in terms of being able to see the peak in this market. That's all I have for today. If you like the content, please give us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.